Picture this, you've just caught a shark. Yes, a real shark, proudly posing for a photo when suddenly something enormous emerges from the depths and simply snatches your catch as if it were a tiny dumpling. Sounds like a fisherman's tale? Not at all. Meet the Goliath Grouper, a fish that turns your epic catch into its light snack. Remember those little perch you caught as a kid? Well, their tropical cousin decided that being small wasn't dignified enough and grew to the size of a small car. Seriously, imagine a fish 8 feet long and weighing 1,000 pounds. It's as if your aquarium perch suddenly decided to become a bodybuilder and hit the gym for the next 100 years. But wait, you might say, how does such a huge creature even move? That's where it gets interesting. Despite its impressive size, the Goliath Grouper moves with the grace of, well, let's be honest, with the grace of a senior citizen at a clearance sale. But that doesn't stop it from being one of the most effective predators in its weight class. Know what's really funny? This underwater giant has teeth like a baby. Tiny ones. Seriously, you expect to see a mouthful of sharp fangs, but instead, it's more like sandpaper. But don't laugh too quickly. This feature doesn't stop the Goliath from swallowing prey whole. It simply opens its enormous mouth and, whoosh, creates such suction that the victim is literally vacuumed inside, like it's being caught by the world's most powerful vacuum cleaner. Now hold on tight, because the next fact will blow your mind. All large Goliath groupers you see are grandfathers, literally, males, because these fish start life as females and then change sex. Yes, nature decided that being just a giant fish wasn't interesting enough and added this plot twist. Imagine what a fish passport office would look like. Excuse me, I need to update my documents. I'm a male now. Do you have a note from the ichthyologist? But the most amazing thing about these creatures is their personality. You might think a fish the size of a small car would be a fearsome sea monster, but in reality, the Goliath Grouper is more like a curious puppy, a very big puppy that might accidentally knock you over while trying to play. Divers often find these giants simply swimming up to see what's happening, like some kind of underwater inspectors. True, sometimes their curiosity can be a bit excessive. Imagine, you're spearfishing, just caught a fish, feeling proud of yourself, and then this marine giant appears and just takes your catch. And not just takes it, but with an air of doing you a favor by relieving you of extra weight. Thanks for catching my lunch. And they can create sound waves underwater. No, seriously, a Goliath Grouper can slam its mouth or contract its swim bladder to create something like an underwater boombox. Can you picture this? A huge fish swimming around, literally creating its own soundtrack. As if being car-sized wasn't enough, now it comes with a built-in sound system. And you know what's most surprising? These underwater giants are real homebodies. They find some sunken ship or large coral reef and turn it into their mansion. And they don't live alone, but in groups. Imagine an underwater communal apartment where each room houses a fish the size of a couch. And remarkably, they turn out to be quite decent neighbors, as long as you're not trying to steal their dinner. Speaking of dinner, the Goliath Grouper keeps it simple. If it fits in the mouth and moves, it's food. Crabs, appetizer, lobsters, great snack. Small sharks, why not? It's like going to a restaurant where the entire menu has just one item, swallow whole. And you know what? This approach has been working for millions of years. But in the 20th century, our underwater giants faced a serious problem: humans. And it's not just that we hunted them, though that too, but that the Goliath Grouper turned out to be too trusting. Think about it. A huge fish that isn't afraid of people, lives in shallow waters, stays in the same places, and grows slowly, only starting to reproduce at age 6. It's a perfect target for poachers. Fortunately, in the 1990s, people finally realized they were about to lose these amazing creatures, and the Goliath Grouper received legal protection. In the US, catching them is completely banned. And you know what? It's working! The population is slowly recovering, and more divers can boast selfies with this marine giant, though some photos happen accidentally, when a curious grouper just decides to check out what this strange creature with a camera is. By the way, these fish have another interesting feature. They can learn from experience. For example, in areas where spearfishing is common, groupers have learned to recognize harpoons and simply take the catch from hunters at the first opportunity. Imagine that. A refrigerator-sized fish that not only can steal your lunch, but does it strategically.
Now imagine a typical day in the life of a Goliath grouper. You wake up in your cozy, sunken ship, yawn so hard you create a small sound wave. What a wake-up call for the neighbors. Swim out to hunt, which means just opening your mouth and waiting for something to swim in. If you're lucky, you might snatch someone else's catch. If not, well, there are always crabs. Then you can play with divers. They're so funny when you suddenly appear from around the corner.
And you know what? Maybe we should all learn something from the Goliath grouper. No, I'm not suggesting we steal others' lunch or change sex every few years. But their approach to life, being big but good-natured, strong but not aggressive, curious but cautious, seems quite sensible. After all, these fish have existed for millions of years, and their only serious problem has been us. So, next time you're diving somewhere in the warm Atlantic waters and see an approaching fish the size of your first car, don't panic. It's just a Goliath grouper coming to check if you have any tasty treats. And yes, better give up your catch right away. Arguing with a 1,000-pound fish enthusiast isn't worth the trouble. See you soon.